of the St. George City Council. It's a regular meeting agenda scheduled May 13th, 2025 at 5 p.m. St. George City Hall, 14100 Inland Highway. As always, to begin, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Councilman Monticello.
Here.
Councilwoman Cook.
Here.
Councilman Himmel.
Here.
Councilman Edmonds.
Here.
Councilman Heck is absent. We have a quorum. Of approval of the minutes of the April 22nd, 2025 council meeting. Do I have a motion? Motion to approve by Himmel.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Cook. Any objections? Here none. Minutes are approved. Also have approval of the minutes of the April 28th, 2025 special meeting. Motion to approve by Councilman Himmel.
Second.
Second by Monticello. Any opposition? Here none. Brings us to a presentation from IBTS Program Director on monthly report.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So you have in your packets a copy of a report showing the monthly activity. So occupational license looks like we're getting caught up, and we had a few stragglers roll in. In the month of April, we had 146. For its permitting, that just continues to increase every single month. For April, we were up to 369 permits. And just to put that in perspective, the last several months have been 190, 244, 299, 301, and then this last month, 369. So activity is just continuing to increase. Growing city. And we had 11 planning and zoning cases for the month of April. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Introduction of ordinances, resolutions for public hearing on June 3rd, 2025. Item number 1, ordinance to adopt the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget. Item number 2, ordinance to enact Title 11, Chapters 28 and 29, relative to parking and to provide for related matters. Planning Commission and Zoning Commission items for public hearing scheduled for June 3rd, 2025. Number 1, an ordinance rezoning of 2.99 acre parcel from the A1 single family zoning district to LC3 light commercial 3 zoning district and to provide for related matters. Number 2, an ordinance rezoning a 0.77 acre parcel from the R rural zoning district to the No neighborhood office zoning district and to provide for related matters. Number 3, an ordinance rezoning an approximately 11 acre. Rezoning approximately 11 acre parcel from the R rural zoning district to the GOL, which is general office low rise zoning district, and to provide for related matters. See if that helps. Next, Planning Commission and Zoning Commission matters. These are items for public hearing tonight. Number 1 is case number Z25-02. Slight pause. This is an ordinance to rezone 2 parcels totaling approximately 20.11 acres from rural R and commercial alcoholic beverage 2, CAB-2, to light industrial N-1 for construction of an office building and to provide for related matters. 15324 Airline Highway. Planning and Zoning Commission action. Travis Thornton moved to recommend approval, seconded by Bobby McKee. Yeas were Travis Thornton, Billy Aguilar, Bobby McKee, nays were 0. Motion passed, and Z25-02 was recommended for approval. I'm going to bring up Justin to kind of explain this one for us, please.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. I'm gonna try. You guys can hear me. So the motion was passed on some conditions. The developer met those conditions that we requested. Say one item where he has to construct the sewer first and then provide us the plans after constructed. He's agreed. We've all agreed to it, and we don't have any objections to this time.
All right, thank you, Justin. I received no cards or comments on this one, but we will open up the public comment period at this time if anybody's here to speak on this item. I'm seeing none. We'll close the public comment period at this time. Council? Motion to approve by Edmonds. Second by Himmel. Any objections? Hearing none, motion is approved. Number 2 under Planning Commission, Zoning Commission matters, case number PD 25-01-D, an ordinance to approve a small plan unit development and to rezone 8 existing townhomes and 59 lot line lots with existing private streets and detention ponds and public sewer and to provide for related matters. Address is 10760 Industrial Park Boulevard. Commission action, Travis Thornton moved to recommend approval of PD 25-01-D, seconded by Bobby McKee, with the condition that the engineering department approve the revised drainage and grading plan, revised construction drawings for drainage infrastructure, and any required as-built if the infrastructure is modified prior to city council consideration. If unresolved, defer item. Yeas for Travis Thornton, Billy Aguilar, Bobby McKee, nays for 0. Motion passed. PD 25-01-D was recommended for approval with the above conditions. Justin will bring it up again here to see if these conditions were met.
Councilman, I apologize. I just gave you a report for this item and the last item. That makes a difference to you. I got ahead of myself. So the comments I just previously made were for this development, not for the previous case. If we need to revisit the previous case, I'm glad to do so, but we didn't have any comments, which is essentially rezone. With a parcel that was in the middle of an island, just for your information. I don't know if we need to revisit that or not. Does it make your any questions from the previous one?
Let's handle this one first.
All right, this one. So I'll repeat myself. The conditions that were just laid out by Mayor, we discussed with the developer. He's going to provide us with and has provided us with some of the documentation we requested. Of course, we can't get the final documentation until the actual sewer is constructed.
So that they comply with it.
And they've complied with our asks, yes.
Okay. Any other questions for Justin? Stay right there though.
Sure.
Actually, you can go back. We'll open this up for public comment. So we'll open up item 2 for public comment. If anybody would like to speak on this item, now's the time. We'll open it up. I'm seeing none. We'll close the public comment period for item number 2. Council? Motion to approve by Councilman Himmel. Second by Councilman Monticello. Any opposition? Seeing none, the motion is approved. Can we reopen?
Yes, I think we need to read it.
Yeah. All right, so we will reopen item number 1 under the Planning Commission. I won't repeat everything that I've already stated on the record. But we'll bring Justin back up and you can give your explanation for item 1.
Great. And again, I apologize. Thank you, Council and Mayor. So just to reiterate, this parcel had an island of a CAB2 zone, which was for a bar years and years ago. Never was used. The intent, this purpose was just to clean it up, make it consistent, so the applicant can construct a new office building in that location. We have no issues with the approval and supporting it.
Okay, thank you, Justin. I'll open up the public comment period for that item if anybody from the public would like to make a comment on that. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period. Council?
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve by Evans. Second by Himmel. Any oppositions? Hearing none, motion is approved. Items for public hearing and action. Item number 1 is an ordinance to provide relative to law enforcement, fire protection, emergency medical services, and to provide for related matters. So I'll speak on this item a little bit. This gives authority to providers that are already currently providing services within St. George city limits. So Eastside Fire, St. George Fire, EBR EMS, as well as the Sheriff's Office. It also identifies that we have no intention of creating our own municipal police department. It also allows the city council to approve any private provider for EMS. It's a very similar ordinance that what they have in EBR EMS. It allows us to have control over our public safety partners as far as who's providing what, and also granting authority to the ones that need authority in order to do their jobs inside the city. So that being said, I will open up the public comment period for that. This time, if anybody would like to make a comment, now's the time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period. Council?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Cook. Second by Councilman Evans. Any opposition? Hearing none, motion is approved. Number 2, ordinance to amend Chapter 15 of the Unified Development Code relative to floodways, floodplains, drainage, and water quality, and to provide for related matters. We'll take that one, Justin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So this ordinance is essentially a cleanup. You'll notice it's multiple sections. This is to meet minimum requirements with federal regulations. The adopted code that we took in the UDC from East Baton Rouge Parish had some items in it that weren't compliant with minimum federal standards. And so those changes were made to address those concerns and meet those requirements. Again, it's more definitions that were changed slightly with ands replaced to ors or vice versa. Some additional language added, but essentially it's just to meet minimum requirements.
So Justin, just so the council and the public is aware, let them know who was in town last week and why this ordinance is important.
Yeah, so this is the final step to St. George becoming a community, having its own community identification number with FEMA and enrolling in a National Flood Insurance Program. And so we have provided most of the documentation. Again, this is the final piece. It's important for us to get accepted into the National Flood Insurance Program so that, again, we can maintain coverage
So,
and be eligible for grants.
yeah, and just so everybody's on the same page, explain to them what the community ID number means to us and also what it means to be a part of the National Flood Insurance Program.
Right, so every community has a unique number. Of course, hopefully after our application, we will be assigned a unique number. And that number is used for things like assistance, federal assistance, personal assistance. If there was a disaster, people need grant money or assistance to recover from a disaster. We have to have that number so that we can facilitate and be in charge of those operations. It also involves floodplain management decisions so that we can make those decisions, approve different floodplain related items such as elevation certificates or amendments to the flood maps. It just gives us the autonomy to regulate that ourselves.
Any questions for Justin?
Tell us a little bit about your meetings last week. I was here.
Sure, yeah. So we had what was called a community assistance visit from FEMA. That's when they come and survey the community and ensure that we are in compliance with all regulations and enforcing those regulations properly. We went out, identified several sites that need to have our attention, certainly, and they brought awareness to several sites that were not in compliance. Most of those sites, I would say, were approved prior to our land use authority, and we're going to be working with those property owners to correct them in the future. So overall, a good visit. So far, a good rating for us. I see no issues going forward, but we do have some legacy items to address that we've inherited.
And just so people know, a good rating equates to what for them?
So there's not a numerical value assigned with this stage in the game for FEMA. It's just meeting minimum requirements, following the minimum federal code. So we won't be assigned a classification at this step. This is just for allowance and participation within that program.
Anybody else for Justin?
Justin, will we have to be up and running before we can get assigned the classification?
So that will come next, and that'll be some of the next applications where we'll enter what's called the Community Rating System, or CRS.
Yeah.
And that sure is a little bit bigger lift for us now than just having the minimums in place with this ordinance and a previous resolution that you guys had passed a month or so ago. And so we'll be submitting that application to FEMA at the appropriate time and then begin initiating that Community Rating System program as soon as we can.
Thank you, Justin.
No problem. Thank you.
We will open the public comment period at this time for that item. If anybody would like to speak, now's the time. Really, nobody wants to talk about flooding and drainage? This is a first here in St. George. All right, well, I'll close the public comment period for that item. Council? Make a motion to approve by Councilman Himmel. Second by Councilman Monticello. Any opposition? Hearing none, motion is approved. Council, I would ask that we take items number 3 and 4 in tandem. Are there any objections to me doing that? Okay. Thank you. All right, so items 3 and 4 deal with the intergovernmental agreement that was approved by both the Metro Council as well as the City of St. George in a special meeting. All this resolution really does is ratify these agreements now that all required signatures are on the document. So the first one, item number 3, is a resolution to approve the intergovernmental agreement, the City of Baton Rouge and Parish of East Baton Rouge for uninterrupted governmental services within St. George, executed by Mayor President Sid Edwards, and to provide for related matters. Item number 4 is a resolution to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Baton Rouge and Parish of East Baton Rouge for the collection of the 2% sales and use tax on behalf of St. George, executed by Mayor President Sid Edwards, and to provide for related matters. I did receive a few comments on this. I will read them here, and then we'll open it up to anybody else that would like to speak on it. So the first one, good evening. My name is Sean Leitch, and I live at Mallett Crossing in St. George. The resolution before this council authorizes Baton Rouge Finance Department to collect St. George's 2% sales tax, which is a legal necessity we all recognize. However, this agreement contains a critical omission. It provides no mechanism for St. George residents to monitor their own tax dollars. This 2% tax represents the financial foundation of our city's operations. Our citizens have both the right and the need to know exactly how much revenue is being collected, when these funds are transferred to St. George's accounts, specifically what municipal services and projects these dollars support. Currently, the agreement fails to establish this essential transparency. I respectfully urge this council to make your approval contingent on one straightforward addition: implementation of a public-facing revenue dashboard, updated monthly, that clearly displays both the funds collected and their precise impact on our community. At minimum, please pass a companion ordinance requiring quarterly financial reporting with guaranteed resident access to these documents. As a newly incorporated city, public trust is our most valuable asset. We earn that trust through absolute financial transparency, tracking every dollar from collection to investment in our community's future. Thank you for considering these comments as part of the public record. Second one. Good evening, council members. I'm Sean Leitch, and I live at Mallett Crossing in St. George. The resolution before you approves an agreement for East Baton Rouge Parish to continue providing essential services within St. George. This continuity is necessary. None of us wants interruption in maintenance, road repairs, or waste collection. This agreement preserves service delivery but falls short on providing much needed clarity. The document fails to list which specific services are covered, important for figuring out what services to keep. Establish how performance will be measured, how will quality be maintained or improved, or clarify how citizens should report issues. Who is accountable to the resident, the parish, or the city? Therefore, I respectfully urge this council to implement one of 2 practical solutions. 1, amend the current agreement to explicitly list covered services, establish clear performance metrics, and create accountability benchmarks. Or pass a companion resolution establishing a public services dashboard that transparently tracks service, responsibility, response times, and our concrete progress toward bringing these functions under direct municipal control. This matter transcends operational concerns and directly addresses the fundamental question of municipal ownership. A functioning city government must ensure its residents know precisely who serves them and how effectively that service is delivered. I ask that we move beyond merely continuing services to actively defining, measuring, and using performance data to build a responsive, accountable St. George that voters want. Thank you for including these comments in our public record. I will open up the floor to other public comment if anybody would like to make a comment on either one of those 2 items. I'm seeing none. I'll close the public comment period this time. I'll make a few comments on some of these. So, as far as monitoring the tax dollars coming in, first off, the city parish is the official sales tax collecting agency for the parish. That's in state law, so it has to go through them. Secondly, we'll receive monthly reports that will match with the amount of dollars that are going into our account every month. These are all public records. They're accessible by the public. And then the opposite side of that equation is where do these dollars support? Well, earlier in the meeting, we had an introduction that we will be adopting an ordinance next meeting that enacts our budget for 25-26. So the budget is the companion piece to that, right? So not only is it a transparent process, not only is this all easily accessible by the public, but the budget's there for you as well. The budget's there not only to guide us as elected officials in the city of St. George, but the budget is there to ensure for the public that those dollars are being spent wisely. So next meeting on June 3rd, we'll have an open discussion, and anybody can make public comments in regard to the budget. But that's kind of how that process works. I don't know if I have anything, benchmarks and performance metrics and all these other things. So as you well know, we're in the process of sending out RFPs for services. So we have some for administrative services now. We have some for auditing services. We have some for legal services. We have some for disaster contracts that are going to go out, and then we'll have some RFPs that will go out for public works. Part of those contracts coming back in is that there will be those metrics in place. So we will be able to, not only as elected officials, but the public, hold these contractors accountable to what they say that they're doing, right? And once again, the beautiful part about St. George is that if the contractor is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, we're not married to that person for 30 years in a traditional municipal system. The contractor, we try to rectify it with some corrective action. If corrective action doesn't work, then we part ways, right? And we go find a contractor that's going to be accountable to those actions that the St. George residents deserve. So all those things are going to be in place, okay? To go back to the agreement that I've said many, many times, the original agreement was designed in a way to simplify it as greatly as possible so we could move forward, so we could start collecting our sales tax dollars. By the way, the first check hit the bank last week, okay? So people ask, well, why do we have to have a special meeting? Well, we wanted to have a special meeting in order for those flow of dollars to come in, right? So that first check has hit the bank. So from here into the rest of time, St. George will be a recipient of sales tax dollars from the city of St. George. So as we progress with the development of these contracted services, all these things will be taken into account. All these things will play a vital role in the accountability phase of what we have here in city government. Council? Motion to approve items 3 and 4 by Councilman Monticello. Okay, we want Betty, Councilwoman Cook, second. Any objections to those items? Hearing none, items 3 and 4 are approved. Item number 5, resolution to approve an intergovernmental agreement with East Baton Rouge Parish Sewerage Commission for collection of sewer impact fees with East Baton Rouge Parish and to provide for related matters. Sherry, can you explain this, please?
Yes. This is the same agreement that is used by the other municipalities to collect sewer impact fees. They're collected from the developer in 2 parts, half in the beginning when the permit is applied for, and then on the certificate of occupancy. This is a temporary agreement. It was presented to us as an agreement with no end date, but through negotiations with the city parish, they have agreed to work with us to come up with a way that the developers can pay directly to the city parish like they do on building permits. So it would become an automated system. It's going to take some time to be able to do that, but once our software is implemented, we'll be able to work with their IT team. So this agreement is only through June 30th, 2026, and we have a tentative agreement that they will work with us toward getting fully automated, and we will not have to account for those funds or collect the funds beyond that.
Any questions, Sherry? Thank you, Sherry. All right, we'll open it up to public comment period at this time. If you'd like to speak on this matter, now's your time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period. Council? Motion to approve by Councilman Himmel. Second by Councilman Edmonds. Any opposition? Hearing none, resolution is approved. Item number 6, appointment of administrative hearing officer. So last meeting, we appointed one administrative hearing officer. I alluded to the fact that we would probably have multiple administrative hearing officers. We have a lot of codes that we need to enforce in St. George, and we need to have an adjudication process in order for that to happen. So over the past multiple months, we have adopted multiple ordinances. We have adopted the administrative hearing process. We have our code enforcement group is up and running as of the beginning of May, and the final piece was the administrative hearing officer. So I have somebody here that I will put up for appointment today. So she has a really wonderful resume, and since she's here, I would much rather her come up here and kind of introduce herself, and then we'll open up if anybody would like to make comments.
Thank you, Mayor Davis, for that. Is this on? Thank you. I appreciate the recommendation for appointment. I will try to be brief. I am a 32-year practicing attorney in business and zoning and land use. Those are some of my specialties. I have been involved in government pretty much my entire life, from my parents to I was on the school board and created the first magnet school system in Jefferson Parish. Then sat on the state senate, and I was chair of the judiciary committee. And I will tell you, in that role as chair of the largest committee in the Senate, that committee handles so much that I did feel like a hearing officer. We're just going to turn it off. I did feel like a hearing officer. I had to hear both sides of the equation, and I had to make a decision that was fair and just in listening to both sides. So I certainly have vast experience in government and land use. As far as, let's see, I don't need to go through this, but I've been a professor at law school, in-house counsel, and there's a number. I know we're in a very Republican district. Interestingly, of note, I've been a delegate for George Bush and Donald Trump, believe it or not. So I have a long history, but I do enjoy service, and I do enjoy my practice of law. And as you can see from my resume, I've been extensively involved in the community my entire life. So I thank you for your appointment, and if the council has any questions for me, I'm happy to serve as a hearing officer here in St. George. Any questions?
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
Open up the public comment period at this time if anybody would like to speak on this appointment. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period at this time. Council?
Senator Quinn, I just appreciate your willingness to serve, continue to serve, and you live in the greatest district in St. George, District 1, my district. So I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Moving to accept the appointment.
Is that a motion?
It's a motion.
Okay, motion by Councilman Evans, second by Councilwoman Cook. Any opposition? Congratulations. Last item on the agenda, approval to move previously scheduled council meeting on May 27th, 2025 at 5 p.m. to Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025 at 5 p.m. Reason for this is that we don't have a quorum on the 27th. It's the day after Memorial Day, so we didn't have a quorum in order to have a meeting. But we didn't want to miss any meeting days because we have too much stuff to do. So we decided to move it to June 3rd. So we'll end up having back-to-back meetings essentially in June, or June 3rd or June 10th. So if anybody from the public would like to speak on this, now's your time. I'm hearing none. We'll close the public comment period at this time. Council? Motion to approve by Councilman Himmel. Second by Councilman Monticello. Any opposition? Hearing none. So our next council meeting will be June 3rd, 2025 at 5 p.m. All right, a few announcements before we get out of here. So directly following this meeting, we'll have another hazard mitigation planning meeting for the public. If you'd like to sit in, I strongly suggest that you do. It's a lot of great information, and you kind of see it from the inside workings of what it all takes to develop a hazard mitigation plan for the city of St. George. As previously discussed, our next city council meeting will be Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025 at 5 p.m. Board of Adjustment meeting is Monday, June 2nd, 2025 at 5 p.m. Planning Commission meeting is Monday, June 2nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. Our Zoning Commission meeting is Monday, June 2nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn by Councilman Edmonds, second by Councilman Monticello. Anybody opposed? Y'all have a great evening. Thank you.